Alright, gamers, it's time for another edition of Mega Man X4 Unused content and the final edition of this video, and we're going to continue here with pre-release information as well as everything else under here from here on out, and then we'll be done with Unused content Mega Man X4. So with that being said, let's begin. But before we truly begin, I do gaming content like this all the time, so if that's your type of thing, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's for free, you can always change your mind later on. Anyways, continuing on here with the Mega Man X Legacy Collection trailer. The way the 4 appears on the title screen is different. Coming from the bottom left repeatedly, the final game has no special effects. Sample is written on the title screen. A ripple effect appears in Magma Dragoon's stage background, something that only exists in the Saturn version. The soul body icon is different, showing 2 Reploids instead of a dashing Reploid. The gold blaster, whatever that is present in Web Spider stage, which was removed from the final version. Beginning at 54 seconds in the video is a song that is present nowhere in the final release, but whose melody was eventually reworked for the Meteor Camp for Mega Man Battle Network 4, more than 6 years later. Both games were composed by Toshihiko Horiyama. So here's what that looks like.
突如レプリロイド最強軍隊であるレプロフォースのクーデターが始まった。そしてイレギュラーハンター司令部は X と0に出撃命令を下した。ロックマン X シリーズ第4弾ロックマン X4。
Alright, notice how Soul Body does have its unused icon over here with the 2 Reploids. And once again, trailers from Mega Man 8 and Battle and Chase.
プレイヤーは X に加え侵入0を初めからセレクト可能になり、それぞれストーリー、アクション、敵なども変化し、1枚のソフトで2本分のゲームが楽しめます。強力な剣で敵を切り裂くゼロは X とは全く異なるゲーム性を持ち、また倒したボスから必殺技をラーニングすることが可能。だがどんどん増え、アクションが多彩になり、キャラクターを操る楽しみも増えていきます。
Some of this we've already seen before. Yeah, we've already seen some of this stuff before. So let's back up. In April 1997, multiple option CFC Capcom Friendly Club style. X and Zero used voice clips from Rockman and Forte respectively, 2 games that they didn't show up in, and again the Japanese version of Mega Man and based on the SNES, respectively. Placeholders before actual voice clips were recorded or implemented. This could be why there are leftover sounds from Mega Man 2 Power Fighters, or the Power Fighters, in the May 8th, 1997 prototype. Zero reuses the triple slash from his ground slash combo, and his airborne slash much more resembling his X3 incarnation, excuse me for all the stuttering. This was changed to a unique variant with more flexibility in the air by the May 8th, 1997 prototype. In Web Spider stage, the cave housing the leg armor capsules has not been implemented yet. Just hasn't been made yet. 10 years of Mega Man at the time. Mega Man just started in 1987 after all. Honestly, looks like his buster shots come in just a tiny bit slower. Oh, the footage is quite crummy. I noticed how the cave entrance, hasn't been implemented yet. Like, because they didn't know where they were going to put the leg parts yet. Notice how we did a grounded slash in the air. Likely because the air animation hadn't been made yet. Enough of that. That's it for that part. Next up, unused enemies. Present in the data of the second section of Storm Owl stage are 2 unused enemies. Both the graphics are programming are fully intact. The first unused enemy is Roland Gear, an enemy that wouldn't debut until X5. In this game, it constantly tries to chase the player down. The second enemy is a flying green robot, and it will try to aim at the player's general X position before dropping a turret and flying away. Said turret drills itself into the ground before it starts shooting. Both the robot and the turret can be destroyed, and here is all of the unused textures for this. Alright, let's see those enemies in action over here. Huh. Wonder why I went unused. Actually looks like, well, maybe that's why, because it just does the same redundant attack over and over again. Would probably be hard to place that enemy in most cases as well. And this fine green enemy, that kind of looks like an enemy from the Classic Series, I don't know. That'd fit more in a Classic Series game, I think. Than the X Series. Like, it looks like an enemy from Mega Man 7 or 8. Alright. And now, unused sprites. Unused frames of double, excuse me. While the only unused part about the three on the right is his facial expression. The first sprite to the left is entirely unused. Alright, this one right over here, or here's all four of his unused sprites, mostly just with different facial expressions. Are now making, as we've seen in previous episodes, used in a demo version of the game placeholder graphics for the boss portrait, particularly for unused stages. Here's what this looks like. Now I'm making in this turquoise-ish color, and here's one in a gray color scheme. Are used in a demo version of the game, a placeholder graphic for boss portraits, specifically for selectable stages, have an unimplemented boss. Have implemented bosses. Here's what it looks like. I like the one with the wide eyes, that's decent, but the one with the red eyes looks pretty cool too. Didn't know Mega Man X had Red Eyes Black Dragon in it. But anyways, are used in the title screen in the demo version of the game, sample. A little hard to see here, but that's a sample. Are used in the demo version after getting a game over. The for playing part of the message appears to have been overwritten. Here's what that looks like. Thank you. And game over. Game over, thank you. Most likely short for thanks for playing. Rockman X0. Unused throughout all known versions of the game, and untouched in the international versions. Palette data for these images still exists, however. Alright, here's what that looks like. There's one for Zero. Alright, an unused demo. Located in the US PlayStation disc is a file called this code over here. PL, probably placeholder maybe? I don't know. Demo.arc. Containing data for an unused demo. This file is not present in the Japanese release. The demo starts X at the final boss, which, for spoiler reasons, is probably why it was cut. That and the atrocious playing. Jeez. Okay. Probably a skill issue on that guy's part. Whoever's playing the demo over here, that is. This footage was captured by copying the data of pldemo.arc over one of the 4 demo files that are used. Alright, here's what that looks like. Notice how the press start button still stays on there. Maybe this is supposed to be an intro, like, movie or something, little intro movie if you stayed on the intro screen for too long.
Prepare to become space dust.
They just stood there. The guy who made this article isn't wrong. There is some pretty atrocious playing being done here. Bro's not even trying to hit him. But anyways, that's the end of that. Alright, ABS text. An ABS text file written in Japanese can be found and accessed in the directory containing a blurb about the game. This can only be found in the Japanese Saturn version. Text as follows. I can't read all that, but thankfully there's a translation over here. The Sega Saturn software Rockman X4 is the fourth title in our Rockman X series, and is a scrolling action shooting game. This time, in addition to the existing X, the popular Zero can now be used as a playable character, ignoring his appearance in X3, but we don't talk about that. X can obtain new weapons by defeating bosses in each stage, and equipping parts hidden in the stage to power up. Zero can learn the boss techniques by defeating bosses in each stage, and new actions are added one after another. And this works. X and Zero have completely different story developments, and each has different video content, stages, and characters, so you can enjoy it twice as much with one CD. And by different characters, they mean Double and Iris, respectively, and that's it. So, different character, let's be honest. But, anyways, regional differences. Title screen over here. Alright, the image of X and Zero from the player select screen slides across the title screen opening animation. This was simplified in the international builds. Alright, here's what the Japanese one looks like. They just really poorly slide across. That looks so dumb. Just a rough draft slideshow, I guess. Probably all that was meant to be. Alright, here's the international version. They don't even have X or Zero sliding across the screen, though the logo definitely looks a bit different. Alright, additionally, the menu select on the title screen was also repositioned in the international version. Alright, here's a closer look at the Japanese one. Once again, Rockman X4. And here is the English one. Or international. Alright, the Japanese opening song, Yuki Nakama's Mikanai Aiga Kito Aru, was replaced with a different track for the international release. I'll show the video anyways, but I don't want to play that just in case a weird copyright strike shows up. This is literally just the intro. You guys can't even hear the sound anyways, but here's the international one. I'll only play it for a few seconds. Alright. Alright, credits music. The Japanese ending song, Yuki Nakama's One More Chance, was replaced with a different track for the international release. Alright, here is with that. Well, it's just that. I once again don't have the sound on, so no point in having that on, I guess. But just know that there's an unused credits song. I'll probably find it and put a link in the description so y'all can hear it through there. As with the previous X games, the Mavericks go under new names overseas, though in this case, one Splish Mushroom is spared. For the first time, one of them doesn't get a name change. But the different names we have over here, in Japan's Web Spidus is Web Spider. Cyber Kujacker, still one of my favorite Japanese exclusive names, is Cyber Peacock in international. Storm Fukurol is Storm Owl, excuse me. Magmar Dragoon is Magma Dragoon. Jet Stingren is Jet Stingray. Slash Beastaleo, which I kind of like that one too, is Slash Beast. And finally, Frost Kibatodos is Frost Walrus. Our weapon select screen. The Japanese pause menu gives instructions on how to perform Zero's techniques, as we've seen in the previous episode, in order to fit their Romanized names. International releases omit this. It would have been nice if it had been there too, so just in case you forget how to use the different moves, you have a little reminder there. Voices. Some voices, such as the pre-battle voices from the 8 selectable bosses, were disabled in the international versions. While these bosses do still retain their voices during battle, Cyber Peacock is the only one who's been muted entirely. Despite being disabled, the Japanese pre-battle voice for Maverick bosses are still present in the game's voice data set. The English PC version removed all Japanese voices and battle cries properly, but only replaced them with dummy data files, and all of them are interchangeable with voice files used in the Japanese PC version. Alright, let's take a look at this. I think this one I'll also put in the link in the description since I do have the sound muted on here. But anyways, and once again, just to avoid any potential copyright strikes, I'll put that in the link in the description as well. Our revisional differences. The PlayStation version versus the Saturn version. Certain music tracks have additional intros in the Saturn version, not present in other releases alongside proper looping. Mega Man 8 also has both Sega Saturn and PS1 version, just to bring that up. Forgot to bring that up in a previous part, but whatever. A ripple effect was, and I'll probably bring that up in a future episode, but anyways, a ripple effect was added in Sky Lagoon 2 and Magma Dragoon stage in the Saturn version. Due to limitations with the Saturn hardware compared to the PS1 hardware, a much stronger console, many transparency effects are missing or replaced with a dithering effect. This is most notable with after images, which are completely opaque in the Saturn version. There's also certain versions of the stage, like they mentioned here, in the Sky Lagoon 2 stage, where there's a bit of ripple effect, like it's really hot, you know, like the heat waving effect, all of that. Or Windows versions, like the Windows port of X3, a easy mode that has damage for enemies is added. We don't do easy mode here. A music player / test option is added to the options menu. The music tracks Sigma first when fighting the cloaked and uncloaked forms of Sigma, and Sigma number 2 when fighting his final form is played the other way around, as the files for it are stored the other way around, with this code over here containing Sigma second and this code over here containing Sigma first. This can be easily fixed by swapping the names of both files in the code. So likely they intended it to be the other way around when played, but it ended up being the opposite in the final game. Our Mega Man X Legacy, or just a collection on the GameCube and PS2, many enemies behave differently in the demos, causing all but the Military Trim demo to desync. And finally, the Mega Man X Legacy Collection has a few differences from the original PS1 release. The scene in the intro where the general does a salute was removed, possibly due to it resembling a Nazi salute. Well, sometimes things do happen like that in games, like look at Reggie Steele's sprite in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Stuff tends to happen sometimes. Cutscenes where the screen flashes rapidly were changed to have the screen be dim. You know, just for people who might have epilepsy. The amount of save slots was increased from 3 to 6, likely to compensate for the lack of second memory card slots. In the Legacy Collection version, makes sense. And finally, opening and ending use tracks for the international builds regardless of the language settings. With that being said, well, that's all the unused content I could find for Mega Man X4. We're not going to do X5 just yet. I got a few other games in mind that we're going to do some unused content for then. So tune in next time for those. So that's all the unused content I could find. If you enjoyed this and you learned something new today and you want to support, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And consider next question today, once again, what's some unused content that you wish showed up in the final game and why? That being this little red wheel enemy and that green enemy that we saw before. Though the red wheel enemy, I think I prefer him a bit more. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and have a berrific day.